Welcome to another episode of my podcast that's fine with me. I have a lot of things to do, guys. Today, I really need to cook a cake, and that's going to be a coconut cake. By the way, it's not related to the video. I'm just sharing some things, so we have to be more or less quick to finish this episode, and then I can move on with my family stuff. Okay, I'm going to be talking in today's podcast. Oh, by the way, I completely forgot. That's Fine With Me podcast, guys. And if you have any questions or if you have any suggestions or anonymous stories, let me know in the comments or let me know through my mail. That's Fine With Me podcast gmail.com, where I'm going to read some of your stories and share this with the world, again, anonymously. We're going to be talking about family Addams, the Addams family to be exact. And the inspiration for this podcast came from Wednesday series that aired last week, if I'm mistaken. It was the September 4th when I tuned in. My husband and I really loved the series. I guess it's really interesting how Tim Burton showed us this new characters, or old new characters, and especially Jenna Ortega. I really love her. But then I started looking deeper into the family and started looking for some information. Where did it all start? Who was the inventor of Addams Family? And it's pretty obvious that the first, I guess, characters, they reappeared with the help of a cartoonist. His name was Charles Addams, and I guess he named his characters after his own surname. But I don't know, maybe it was later named after the cartoonist. And the first appearance of Addams Family was a New Yorker in 1938. I can't believe that it's been almost 100 years when the whole franchise, or it's better to say these characters were established in a way, or created, it's better to say. So we're going to get started with the first ever series that happened in 1964, but for some period of time, a lot of the characters, I don't know how, but they didn't really have names. The Morticia and Wednesday, they got the names in 1962 prior the series, 2 years prior series. And then Gomez and Pixley, if I'm mistaken, they got their names in the original series from 1964, which I can't say was a huge success or wasn't successful at all, but they aired for 2 seasons and then they stopped. In 13 years, if I'm mistaken, 1977, they reappeared with the same characters and with the same actors in the role. And if I'm mistaken, that wasn't even serious. That was just a film, a remake, I'd say, of Halloween with the new Addams Family. I don't know if it's new because they renamed it or created a new story. Or was it a new because they just showed them 13 years later? But what I do know is that first series, they had Grandma, they had Lurch, their server, and their pet octopus, Aristotle. It's really interesting, but the thing reappeared only in 1954. Not even reappeared, but just was created in 1954. And for now, that is a huge part of the story because Thing is basically one of the best friends of Wednesday Addams and the entire family. That is the main reason why it was really interesting to see that ABC channel, they started the series in 1964, September 18th, and later they kind of shut down the whole process, and there were some animated series and animation for kids, but of course a lot of production, they knew that it was aimed for a little bit different audience. That is the main reason why it was weird to see probably Addams for kids, aimed for kids. But later we did enjoy Addams, especially in 1991 release, with the iconic and classic characters that we still know, and especially Uncle Fester, the one who was portrayed by Christopher Lloyd, the famous Christopher Lloyd that came back in Wednesday series as a professor. And then he was a crazy professor back in the future. I mean, Christopher Lloyd, he's just genius. I really love this old man, old actor, but I mean, again, he is genius. So it's interesting to mention, guys, but why Addams were so popular and still are really popular till the date? Because the American TV was showing people very polished image of American couple and polished image of family as it should be. That was the main reason why people just got tired of it. And we know that there's so much more problems and just the surface level of the hypocrisy and fake, I guess, mask that people put on. And it was shown through media as a normal behavior and something normal. When Addams reappeared or just was shown to people, audience was happy about this change because finally they saw these gothic characters that didn't really care about the opinion of others. And that is so important for the series and the future franchise, that people stop thinking about others and their opinion, and they started thinking about what they actually want and what really matters for their family. And I guess that is the main reason why the series gained so much popularity, not only among teenagers, but the people who were young adults or maybe just adults. But let me talk about one of the most, I guess, important franchise or films that was created in 1991. This is probably the first film that a lot of teenagers and even young adults now saw and really adored and loved. This was the first, I guess, popular vision of Addams, and it was entirely different from what I guess used to be years and years prior in 1964. Then they managed to recreate the same, I guess, vibes in 1993, where the main attention was focused on Uncle Fester and his new wife. And then they had some spin-offs in 1998, 1999. Then they had a couple of animated films. And by the way, if I'm not mistaken, 2010, it was a musical adaptation for Addams Family, which was very successful. But in 2019, 2021, if I'm mistaken, there was a cartoon that gained a lot of popularity and was loved among not only adults but kids, because that was a very nice interpretation of Addams Family. And slowly but gradually, we're moving to Netflix series. But if I'm mistaken, Netflix series took place in 2021 as well. No, it was 2022 actually. Late 2022, when they released Wednesday Addams, and the main focus was on Wednesday. It wasn't basically about parents, it was about Nevermore and other supernatural creatures from the academy, which we don't really get from any other versions of Addams. I mean, there are definitely some people with supernatural power, but we don't really have to see them. But in Nevermore, we get a lot of different storylines, which I really, really like. So let me tell you guys that Wednesday Addams, they focused on this viral moment season 1 where she was performing a dance, and Jenna Ortega, she herself created this dance and she was a choreographer for herself. But I guess they tried to achieve similar effect in season 2, where where her friend, she was into this path and she kind of like created this really beautiful dance. The dance was beautiful, but unfortunately it was too detailed and maybe too hard to recreate. That's why I don't really think it's going to be a viral dance as Wednesday was back in the day. Let's talk a little bit about Addams itself, the family, the roots. It's interesting that every single family adaptation or series, they focus on a little bit different time of Addams family. So someone says that in 1991, if I'm mistaken, they came from Spain, Madrid, and they had some roots in Eastern, Middle Europe or whatever. And in the modern adaptation of Wednesday, they have Mexican roots, and they've been in the United States from the 17th century, if I'm not mistaken. So where we see the 1991 option, they were going back and forth from Europe to United States, and I mean, have a lot of relatives all over the world, but specifically in Europe. And in 1991 adaptation, you can definitely see that they took their time to create a dance. Again, that wasn't a viral dance, but very important, which was called Mamushka. I think it's Mamushka, not Mamushka, because a lot of people from United States or English speakers, they try to pronounce a lot of Slavic names with a little bit different syllables or with a little bit different pronunciation, and I believe they would say Mamushka, but it's Mamushka. I am from Russia, so I believe the main idea in the origin of this world is mother, like mama, matushka, and the English version was Mamushka or Mamushka, as they would probably pronounce it. I don't remember. The dance was devoted to bond brothers, and they would probably later swallow some swords, and they had to perform a dance, brother dance, where women, they had to play some instruments. That is something that I still don't really know what was related to this point about brothers and some instruments, but basically, dance and music, there's a huge part of the series. And Wednesday, they kind of focused on detective skills of Wednesday Addams instead of the previous, I guess, adaptations. First and foremost, you should remember that Wednesday, she came to Nevermore and she is pretty curious. That is the main reason why she had to work with some secrets and mysteries. And it's interesting to watch, because if they created a 10 or maybe 8 season with just Wednesday Addams being Wednesday Addams, I don't really think it's going to be that interesting. I mean, you do really need a plot. You need to solve some secrets. And a lot of fans, they were not really happy with Wednesday Addams because she was too kind. I mean, she fell in love and she realized that this was a monster, Hyde. But through the nature of Wednesday Addams, she always was about some killers, serial killers, and she found them fascinating. So it's really interesting when she fell in love with the, let's call him monster, Hyde. Then she realized that she has to catch him, which is not really in tune with the original character, but at the same time, it's really fun to watch. I love Wednesday series because they brought a lot of characters from original film 1991 and 1993, and basically that was the first Wednesday. I keep saying original series because from my personal point of view, I don't remember 1964 version and even 1977 version. That is the main reason why 1991 is pretty close and it's one of the most iconic versions. That's why I would definitely, refer to the original series as from 1991. Let's talk real quick about the whole idea of Tim Burton. Getting, I guess, Tim Burton on board was the smartest decision of Netflix. Netflix used to have the very, I guess they were struggling for a couple of years. A lot of projects, they were super successful in the first season and even second season, but then such as Witcher, it was a total flop, and the second season was weird. The third season was almost unwatchable. That was the main reason why, I guess, the main protagonist, oh my god, I forgot the name of I forgot the Witcher's name. Honestly, guys, I'm sorry. This is, by the way, one of my favorite actors, but still forgot. And I understand his point of view. He said that you are creating something weird. I'm not going to participate in the Witcher that you're creating because first and foremost, it's out of the books and it's not related, not to the games, not to the books. I don't really want to take my chances and be tarnished, like tarnish my reputation because it's unwatchable. And he was totally right. That is the main reason why, I guess, the project flopped. They hoped for 7 or even 8 seasons at first with the success of the first season. And then they realized that, fortunately or unfortunately, it's not gonna happen because the third season took the least of the watch time and people they couldn't finish the series. That was the main reason why, I guess, they wanted to find some safe option, and the Addams Family was this safe bet where they knew if the director would be great and probably very creative, they could pull this off, and they did. From my point of view, Tim Burton, he actually added this charm to the series. I mean, it's surprising that Johnny Depp didn't reappear in the series, but for what it's worth, I love that they invited a lot of actors from original series 1991. That's the main reason why we can totally agree, or you might disagree with me, guys, but Wednesday series, that is a huge success for not only Netflix but Tim Burton himself. Spoiler alerts, in second season, I loved where Tim Burton added a little bit of this cartoon, black and white cartoon detail when they were telling the story, and was like, oh my god, that is nostalgic, where Tim Burton was creating in his own style and he's still getting this without any CGI. It was just crazy to see how cool this is, and especially the moment when they were in the forest and they tried to show us what they have to do to get like the win for a team, and they showed us in the cartoon way as well. I was fascinated. I really loved it, and I think that was the homage to Tim Burton, and Tim Burton himself created the series. Great direction. I don't know why people are criticizing season 2. I really enjoyed this series, and especially 4 additional episodes that were released in September. Maybe first 4 episodes were a little bit boring. They actually had to create these first 4 episodes for us to see the just like small details going from Heights family, going from zombie, and then we had to connect them in one storyline, and that was a necessity in my opinion. And then let me tell you guys, whenever I watched Netflix series on Wednesday, I felt like, enjoyed the first season, but I enjoyed season 2 as well. And I will probably rewatch it. I know that some people say that only 19 million people watched series, second part, but like, are you freaking kidding me? It's been only 1 week and there are definitely going to be more people tuning in later. Maybe they had some problems, maybe they had some work to do, and I'm pretty much sure that the ratings are going to go up later, just maybe in a couple of weeks, and still not going to be canceled. There were some speculations that it was going to be canceled. No, it's just some drama channels swipe them, because the show is renewed for season 3, and I'm super excited to see that. I was never that into Addams Family before Tim Burton had his magic twist to Wednesday Addams and the episodes. I would say that the show is not only focusing on Mexican roots, which I really like, that they created this whole story around, taking care of your roots, taking care of your family. And we do know that a lot of their family members there in Europe, and we discussed it earlier. That is so interesting that even if they're not with Spanish roots or with Mexican roots, I really love that they kept the cultural aspect of Wednesday series in a sense. I love that they implemented parents more to the series. I mean, season 2 was full of parents, and I loved it so much. I think we needed to see this bond between Wednesday and her mom, and I loved Gomez and Puxley. Their small dialects, their small secrets, how they were like talking about Dumpy and support of his dad. I loved every single episode. So let me know, guys, did you actually like season 2 of Wednesday, or you think that as any other show, season after season, it's going to be even worse? I know that Jenna Ortega, she acted in, I guess, 6th episode, or I don't know, maybe, yeah, I guess episode 6. She switched bodies with her friend Enid. I loved Enid and Wednesday flop with bodies, and especially Enid was great performing Wednesday. Honestly, I really loved her acting, and I think that probably a lot of directors, they should pay attention because she was genius. And actually Jenna Ortega was fabulous as well. I mean, both of them were unrecognizable, and frankly speaking, I could see Enid and I could see Wednesday in their bodies, in that they actually performed really, really well. So yeah, guys, what do you think? I love their sense of humor. It's dark sense of humor. I love that it's gothic and with gothic vibes. You can tell that I love some makeup looks, just related to black, and I love black outfits. I just resonate with this family a lot, and that is the main reason why I think we shouldn't skip on certain films that were maybe created years ago, but when it's a decent interpretation, such as Wednesday, I think it's great. But I read somewhere that Tim Burton, he was approached to direct a 1991 film back in the day, but if I'm mistaken, he did not participate in directing 1991 film. That is the main reason. Maybe that was his chance to show his take on Addams in modern version. I love that we could see many things related around Thing, that Wednesday was super close to Thing. I love that not only original characters were involved, but new characters that were seamless implemented in the series. That's the goal, I guess, for every single company out there who struggle with any kind of like releases, or they're looking for some inspiration to create. You can probably take some traditional characters and then just make them look interesting. I watched actually Freaky Friday second part, and it was amazing. I really loved it. My husband and I, we laughed so hard that, I mean, just, it was amazing. I really love Freaky Friday, so I would definitely advise you to watch the Freaky Friday. And yeah, guys, I guess that's pretty much it about today's podcast. It's not going to be long, and it's not actually long, but I guess it was a necessity to film something to pay the homage to the characters, original characters, and to the entire story of Wednesday Addams and the Addams family itself. Okay, guys, I love you all so much, and I'm going to see you next time. Bye-bye. Don't forget that you can ask me some questions through my mail, that's fine with me, podcast@gmail.com, or leave some comments and let's have a discussion. I love talking to you guys. If we disagree, that's one point, but just still be respectful to each other. I love you all so much. Bye-bye.